Excellent. Well, welcome everybody to the NEWaukee ForeFront program, the program that features immersive stories about Milwaukee's companies and neighborhoods, and really the people that live in them and work in them. Today, this program is brought to you by Ginger Lazovik of Shorewest Realtors and North Shore Bank. Thank you for your support on this program. And I will first introduce my amazing co-host here. Alexa, take it away.
Oh, thanks. I'm amazing today. Thanks, Jared.
Yes, amazing. Better than yesterday.
My name is Alexa Alfaro. I am one of the co-founders of Meat on the Street. We're a Filipino food truck and restaurant in the greater Milwaukee area and co-host with Jeremy to the ForeFront show.
Excellent. So I guess I'll kick us off and everybody can kind of introduce themselves and their backgrounds. I'll start with you, Amy. If you want to give a little bit of background, what you're building in the community and a little history, and then we'll go on to next.
Sure. So my name is Amy Narr. I'm the owner and operator of Triciclo, Peru. We're a Peruvian restaurant on the near west side, 38th and Fleet. We started as a food truck a few years ago and just opened our brick and mortar 6 months ago. And so we are happily doing takeout currently. But background on me, I'm from Milwaukee, the Milwaukee area. I did the Peace Corps in Peru, which is my connection to Peru. And that is where I met my husband, Mario Diaz, who is the co-owner with me of Triciclo.
And Terry?
Okay, sorry about that.
No worries.
I'm Terry Evans. I'm the branch manager at the Urban Ecology Center in Washington Park. I've been the branch manager for roughly going on 6 years. We've been located in Washington Park as an organization for roughly the last 12 and a half years. And so our job is to connect people to nature and to the great opportunities that nature provides and do also environmental education. So.
And Pete, why don't you go last?
Sure. My name is Pete Cooney, and I'm the owner of Pete's Pops. We make and sell fresh fruit popsicles and ice cream bars and really interesting flavor combinations. We started with some push carts, and now we have a production facility and walk-up window in the near west side. Also at 38th and Fleet, we're neighbors with Amy and Mario. And we just opened another walk-up window in the neighborhood of Bayview. And our mission is kind of just to spread, we say, pops and positivity everywhere we go. And we have fun doing it. And that's what we do. I'm originally from St. Louis. I came to Milwaukee to go to Marquette University for business school, and I've made Milwaukee home.
Awesome. And Terry, let's start with you kind of around, when I think of Washington Park, the first thing that comes to mind is the Urban Ecology Center. It's been just a staple in the community now for some time. And just really what that is a microcosm of community in itself. Can you just explain to everyone what the Urban Ecology Center means to that community and all the ways you impact it?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a meeting place, because when I look at Washington Park, it's kind of like a melting pot for the community. It's a diverse group of people that are around that park area, and I think what we offer is a chance for an opportunity for people to understand nature, to learn about nature, and to be active in nature. And so I think that's, in saying that, I think it kind of it kind of allows people to break down those barriers that they may have, any kind of stereotypical barriers, which I think is great. And I think it's a source. I think what we're doing is we're providing a source of mental health, physical health as well, which is great for the community. Yeah, I think we've also been pretty active in terms of reaching out. So we want to be a good neighbor in terms of offering, because we're an environmental education organization primarily. But in saying that too, we want to be a beacon for the neighborhood. So a lot of things that we do, we want to make sure that we involve everybody. And that also includes, like, we're trying to restore the building that we have add on to it and build a new building, a parking lot, a walkway up. And so that's involving the whole neighborhood. And we just want to definitely make sure that we're always a good neighbor and we're always involved in the neighborhood around us in any kind of work that we do, whether it be on the land or just like the canoeing that we offer, the biking that we offer, and offering opportunities for people that might not otherwise get that opportunity to be able to canoe. You'd be surprised at how many kids over near us have never been canoeing. So connecting to the community and connect to those parents and those kids to offer that, so every summer we work with NPS as well in providing kids that are in summer school with the opportunity to be able to canoe, do pond ecology, have those experiences growing up, because I think that's part of being diverse, is having those different experiences as well.
Absolutely. And then Pete and Amy, what made you open your business there? Why'd you choose that location? Tell us the stories of how that came about and, why you chose the area. And I guess, Amy, I'll start with you.
Okay, we are, as I said earlier, we were mobile first. So we started as kind of from scratch as a food truck, just doing empanadas in farmers markets and festivals, NEWaukee night market, anything that we could get into basically.
Great plug.
Yes. And we were looking for a brick and mortar, and this neighborhood just has so much potential. We were introduced to the contractor and the owner of this building after having participated in the Rev Up Milwaukee business pitch competition, which is kind of like Shark Tank from Milwaukee, sponsored by Marquette and the Near West Side Association, and Harley and all of the big anchors in this neighborhood. And it was a wonderful experience. We learned so much about our business. We learned so much about ourselves, and we learned how challenging it was probably going to be to start a restaurant. And we, despite all of that, kept going forward with it. And so after that competition, we participated in 2018. And like I said, we really benefited from everyone that we met along the way. Marquette was super supportive, and we met some business advisors that we were able to talk to, and really get in a good position to start a restaurant. And the contractor and owner of the building, Tom Straub with CMS Contracting, really kind of the connection was just right place, right time. He had this building that was ready to go after we went through the competition, and we felt like it was a fit. The size was right. The location was great. I mean, because we started mobily, we had a smattering of followers from all over the place, from Tosa, from Brookfield, from River West, from the South Side in Jackson Park. So we had people our customers were all over the place, and we were like, well, good food is good food. And, wherever we end up, planting our roots, we think we'll be able to make it. And so we said yes to this space, and they started construction early last year. And it ended up, being done in December, and we fell in love with the building. We fell in love with everything here. We actually live here as well. We live above the restaurant. And ever since moving in, we've felt so much love from the community. We're so excited that we're here. We love this space. So that's kind of our story.
Great commute you have.
It's like 18 steps, I think, or 16 steps. I haven't even counted.
Could be some traffic some days, but.
Yeah.
Pete, what about you? I think you went through the Rev Up program too. Was that?
Yeah. Through the Rev Up business competition, we participated in the very first year. And so I didn't know a lot about the Near West Side Partners at that time. I think I just was excited to participate in a business competition, especially one that did speak to a lot of my interests, which were at the time and continue to be trying to do as much positive community impact as possible through the business. And what I learned is the Near West Side Partners is this amazing group of people and organizations and companies that are really trying to have a positive impact in the Near West Side the right way, like really engaging the community and doing it kind of collectively with everyone in the Near West Side. And so we did win the contest. We won a little bit of money, and we committed to move our business into the area. And from there, we searched for properties and kind of fell in love with our landlord, Tom's building on Blake Street, fell in love with Blake Street, fell in love with WashingtonPark, and how it is kind of what I consider to be a symbol of what Milwaukee can and should be diversity-wise. I think Washington Park is one of the most diverse. The programming is some of the most diverse programming in the city. Where it's located allows the most diverse people to come together and enjoy their time together. And Pops just wanted to be a part of that energy and hopefully add to it as much as possible.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing. So a question for all three of you really on, you all have very established businesses that have grown, that have been a part of the neighborhood for quite some time. How has the pandemic affected business, and how have you paused, pivoted, readjusted to the new norm? And what does that look like for you? Whoever wants to start. Go ahead, Pete.
I'll answer, sure. Well, initially we lost 80% of our kind of normal business immediately got wiped away. So we have a booth in Miller Park that the park was wiped away. We were set to have a really expanded presence. Fest gone. The night market's gone, both in Milwaukee night market, Madison night market. All the live music events we do, all the street festivals, all the weddings, so like everything.
Did your schedule just like wipe out in March? Like it was literally a 48-hour period, and then everything for the next 6 weeks, catering, whatever the event was, just literally canceled or paused. Was that kind of how it was for the both of you?
Pretty much. So we were just getting our season going. We're a seasonal business, so we were kind of just starting the wheels in motion in March. Initially, when everything started to kind of fall, where the world started to change, initially I thought, okay, this will be okay. This will be over by the time summer happens, and actually people will have pent up demand, and we're gonna have a normal summer. We're gonna be a good product for summer. And then every week, everything just kind of kept pushing back and looking worse and looking worse. That's the bad news. And I want to say the next part with as much respect for everyone that's struggling and still struggling, because I feel for those people, and it's hard to watch, and it's just a terrible, crazy time to be a business owner. However, we pivoted and we launched online ordering and delivery, and we launched some private catering specials, and we opened our Bayview location, and we are actually ahead of sales from last year. And our storefronts are up, everything's up, and I don't totally know how it's happening or why it's happening. We have a product that's safe right now. It's grab and go, walk up windows, and it's positive and it's affordable. And like I said, I'm proud of the work we've done, but I think a little bit is just luck, and I'm cautious that I hope it continues, but I don't know if it will. We're actually having the most fun summer we've ever had somehow. Just, being forced to survive has been kind of energizing.
Well, it makes you become innovative. Like the Pete's Pop boxes are super cool. I know a bunch of people who got them. I saw them all over my timeline. So definitely being innovative is helpful. And then Amy, how about you? I'm assuming it's a little bit similar.
Yeah, I would say it's similar. Obviously, like I said, we opened our brick and mortar in December. So having only been open for 3 months, we were just picking up a rhythm finally. We were finally starting to, get traffic over here, and, spring was coming, and starting to get some recognition, getting some name recognition out there, and finally having really busy weekends, and our staff knew what they were doing, and it felt like it was crazy busy. But Mario and I were working like 16-hour days. But it was like, okay, this is it. This is working. So on March 17th, when we had to close the dining room, we had to let go of about 14 part-time servers and bartenders, which really hurt as much for them as it did for us probably. And there was a lot of uncertainty, like, okay, so we finally got this going. We worked so hard for this, and now what's going to happen to this restaurant that's barely open? So we lost, I would say, like 50 or 60% of our sales. But there was a little bit of a silver lining. First of all, because, our overhead costs went way down without having such a large payroll. So it sort of started to even out a little bit with the sales that we were making with takeout. And then, so economically, you know, we were doing okay, and we were able to thankfully apply for a lot of the aid that was out there. It was pretty all straightforward and easy to apply for. Shout out to Brew City Match, that's newly launched in this neighborhood, and the Hmong Chamber that helped us out with that stuff. So it was pretty easy, because we were busy dealing with restaurant stuff. So and the other silver lining, I think, is that because we started as a mobile food cart, most of our stuff on our menu is Peruvian street food, so it's supposed to be eaten in the street. Mm-hmm. So to go back to that and throw it all back into takeout boxes and make it to go, it wasn't a big deal. So I really feel for like fine dining restaurants during this time that can't, in bars. So we're grateful that our product was easy to do, to make to go. And also it was kind of, again, right time, right moment that we were working on launching our frozen empanada line. And so it's a take and bake line that people can now also order online or come to the store and pick up. But people, back in March, nobody knew much about this, and people were mostly comfortable baking at their houses, taking food home and prepping it themselves. And so our line of frozen empanadas really exploded. So we're really grateful for that, and that kept us going for a few weeks. And then also, just zooming out a little bit, we were grateful to have a little bit of time to reorganize ourselves. We slept more than I think we'd slept in the last 6 months, and we were able to really look at the restaurant and say, okay, what was working, what wasn't working. We took another look at our menu. We took another look at our prices, our recipes, our portion sizes, our inventory. We did a deep clean, and we just really had some time to reorganize ourselves so that we're able to work smarter now. And when we do reopen, and when it's safe to reopen, we'll be able to have kind of a better grip on what we're doing in general. So it was definitely a scary time. It's been difficult still. There's still some days that it's hard. It's just different than what we expected, but we are grateful because sales are, we're doing okay. We're grateful to the community, all of our customers that keep coming by and keep, ordering from us. We feel that love. So yeah.
And Terry, I know the Urban Ecology Center does a ton of programming for all different ages, especially during the warmer months. What does this look like for you guys this year?
Yeah, we've definitely taken a hit, but I think we're all, when I think of all of us as a group that's on here, I think we're all Milwaukee strong. I think we're going to bounce back. I think for the Urban Ecology Center, we definitely took a hit revenue-wise, but it also allowed us, in the midst of all this chaos, it allowed us to come up with other ways to create revenue. And so what I mean by that is like our virtual, because our mission is connecting people in cities to nature and each other. And so one of the things that we're big on is trying to get people into the park, getting people into the park and having an experience. And so with us not being able to do that, we had to come up with how can we bring the park to people? How can we bring some experiences to people, but still encouraging them to get outside and still encouraging them to social distance all at the same time? And I think we've really done a good job, and staff have done a great job with the virtual piece. So we're offering more virtual programming, and we're going to continue to offer that virtual programming as well, and continue to offer that to our schools that we have contracts with. We work with Boys and Girls Clubs, COAs, and so we're usually picking those kids up for after school programs and bringing them back. So we're looking at, so how can we offer them a virtual piece to where they could see that on TV, and they can maybe apply some of those things to outside in the natural areas that are by their centers or by their clubs. I think like I said, I think the virtual piece has been the biggest piece for us. We have UEC in my backyard that we're offering to classrooms and offering to families to have an experience in nature and being able to go right in their backyard and be able to engage with us. So we're doing a lot of that virtual piece. We have film series. We have a healthy cooking show. And the strange thing about, well, it's not strange because people are really doing a lot of virtual things. And like with our healthy cooking demonstration, it was interesting to see last year where we averaged maybe 10 people in the virtual, in our in-person cooking demonstrations. That really jumped up to like 15 or 20 people. So we're finding new ways to create revenue and new ways to stay engaged and have an impact in the community. And I think that looks a lot of different ways. But again, still while offering, people to, suggesting people to come out to our parks. We have our summer day camp that just started, and we're working with smaller numbers, but we do a lot of festivals too in Washington Park. So we have Autumn Celebration, we have Winterfest. And so now we're just starting to put a team together to kind of look and see how does it look social distancing wise to be able to still have Autumn Celebration. And that, usually we bring in 300 to 400 people throughout a 4-hour time frame. And so how is that truly going to look? Because we want to still offer something. We still want people to not be scared, but still come out and experience nature. Because like I said, there's a lot of mental rewards and physical rewards to being in nature. And so so we want people to know that and experiencing that. And so it's just about kind of redirecting where our programming is going to go in terms of how we're going to deliver that programming.
Terry, have you seen, because I feel like, in retrospect, park activity has been up, there's like a lot. Are you seeing, obviously you're seeing probably maybe more of that. Are you? And then how do you guys maybe capitalize on those individuals or families that are coming out just to enjoy the park? Is there a way to, obviously you don't want to capitalize people just coming out and enjoy the park, but if they want to use, for example, some of the equipment you guys have, are you still use like, some of the, like in the winter you have snowshoes. I know some of the urban colleges have kayaks. Are you guys still lending that stuff out?
Right now we're not. Right now we're still closed to the public. We're just doing like more or less the summer program. We know that there's a summer meal program that's needed in this community because in the Washington Park community there's a lot of kids, a lot of young people. So we're offering to grab and go lunches for families. And so that's a way for us to connect with them as well. And encouraging them to, eat outside in the park and picking up trash. And there has been much more activity. And so we have youth workers that outdoor leader young people that work with us. And so we have them going out and picking up litter, and they're seeing activity as well. So we're still getting people that are coming up to the building asking questions, when are you going to open back up? And it's hard to say right now, but I think that activity has increased. But then through our meal program, and just still being active in the park, we're still able to engage residents.
Okay, so I want to transition a little bit to the neighborhood, and each of you has been in the neighborhood at different lengths of times. In that time, what kind of change have you seen? Is it identifiable? And then kind of comment on that, and because obviously this neighborhood is I feel like it's just people are talking about more and more all the time, more than I've been in Milwaukee my whole life, more than I've ever heard it, where there's conversations more about Washington Park. What has changed in that amount of time? Why are more people bringing it up? Why is it being discussed more? Like, what do you feel about that? And I'll start maybe with you, Pete.
Yeah. Well, it's great that it's more as a neighborhood on the radar. It is a great neighborhood, and there's a lot of potential there, and there's great people there. I think when I opened Pete's Pops in the near west side, and specifically on 38th and Vliet, I had this image in my head. Well, in 2 years, the street across from us is not one of the best streets in Milwaukee. There's just some stuff that goes on there that's not the best stuff. And I had this image in my head that, well, in 2 years, we're going to be here, and there's going to be another business across the street, and then Triciclo Peru is going to be in our building, and all that stuff is going to be gone. And there still is some stuff that needs to be cleaned up and improved. But there's a lot of people in the neighborhood, business owners, residents, community activists, bike cops that are there doing the right things on a daily basis. And I think that it's going to be an investment that kind of plays out over time. And so the energy, the people, our customers coming into the neighborhood is fantastic. And we just all have to keep on our missions, the Urban Ecology's mission, Pete's Pops mission, Triciclo Peru's mission, and all the other people that are doing great things in the neighborhood. And I think as that momentum builds and the energy continues and more people come to our establishments, all the good things will continue to grow and the bad things will kind of die out.
Terry, what is your feeling on the change in the neighborhood?
I, I, I totally agree with Pete. I think like with every community, there's problems, there's issues that need to be addressed. I think for for the most part, it's a great community. It's a great community with a lot of history, and I think that's what attracts people is the history as well. Um, I think the potential is unlimited for Washington Park. I lived on Valete Street a lot of years, from 40th to 35th, and so I've seen the changes. It's a community that has a lot of young people, and the moving parts, and there's and it's just not us three. I think there's so many other agencies that are trying to do their part and trying to connect. You got the bowling alley, you got Washington Park neighbors, you got so much going on that make people stop and just watch it and look and see that this is a neighborhood that's going to grow. It's going to grow, and there's going to be some great things that happen in the Washington Park neighborhood, and I can see that. Yeah.
And Amy, you want to chime in if you have anything?
Yeah, I agree with both Terry and Pete. There's room for improvement in any neighborhood. And just living here for the past 8 months now, we have already started to make friends with our neighbors, and, regulars that walk past every day are, more and more curious about our restaurant and what we serve. And we have more and more customers, like immediate neighbors that are like, order one thing, I already know what they're going to order because they love it. And so it's been fun to educate people about Peruvian food, since it's unique to Milwaukee. And to talk about the country and the culture and the language, and really just kind of connect over good food. That is sort of our philosophy. It's been our mission since we started as a food truck to share, be ambassadors for Peru, and kind of in Peru, food is so important in the culture. It really is a sign of respect and love when sharing a plate of food. No matter who you are, any visitor in any house is they receive the largest plate of food. And so we're just trying to kind of bring that here as well, and make sure people feel welcome and to explore the menu and try something different. Since the warmer weather, we've had our garage door open in the front, which has, I think, attracted even more people that didn't realize we were here during the winter, are like, we'll pull over and say, hey, what is this? So it's just been cool to be new here and kind of introduce ourselves and kind of show up as, these, Peruvian food lovers that are willing to share. And we've also done some physical improvements just to this corner here. We're on the corner of 38th and Vliet. And I will say too, thankfully, during the pandemic, we have that garage door that can open. So it makes for easy pickup orders. But also this green space across the street on 38th is a city-owned property that our owner of this property is kind of maintaining. And so we've been able to add some green to it and add some flowers, do some gardening, and add some brightly colored picnic tables. So that's kind of become this community space. We have some yard games in the mail, so that'll add to it as well. But just kind of a green, a green space where people can sit. You don't have to be a customer just to come and hang out on the tables and enjoy the garden. So we're just kind of, trying to add, like Pete said too, just kind of add a little piece of positivity and what's within our power of, in our control of doing. And that's what we've been doing so far. It's been fun.
Amy, I wanted to ask you a question specifically. When we started our business in 2014, Filipino food was like kind of just being whispered about. So it was like this huge educational process all over the city of Milwaukee, which we're grateful that we got to do. But there were two things that we didn't realize in doing that. One, we were ambassadors for our culture and our cuisine, essentially. And that's a lot of pressure to get it right from your own, Peruvian community that's established, but also when educating brand new people about it. So one, what were the challenges in that? Because I don't think people really understand how difficult it is to talk about a culture in under 2 minutes and then educate and get you tied in through cuisine. So my first question is, how difficult was that? And then two, did you guys have to shift any marketing or branding to be able for Milwaukeeans to get what you were doing? Or was it pretty easy to help educate them?
Yeah, those are good questions. We do have that in common, don't we? it's been fun, yeah, and it's been challenging too. So I guess it's the first question. I found myself kind of Googling things sometimes, things that I thought I already knew, and like specific questions. I'm like, oh, I can ask my husband, obviously, and my in-laws still live in Peru, and so we do have a pretty tight connection. But there are some things that I'm looking up to make sure I'm getting right, and just kind of, I guess, over and over talking about what kind of the highlight, if you can, like headliners of Peru, highlights of Peruvian food, so that people's eyes don't glaze over before you're done explain, because there's so much to talk about. So I try to kind of have like my pitch and kind of grasp onto what Milwaukee. I know Milwaukee has people that love to try new food. I know Milwaukee is full of foodies, and we're a total like meat and potatoes culture, and so thankfully Peru is also a lot of meat and potatoes, and so I'm just kind of like, we are a fusion of Peru and Wisconsin, literally our marriage is, but also our restaurant has kind of become like a fusion of, there's some things that are fusion on the menu, and so kind of just picking out what I know people in Milwaukee probably are already familiar with and trying to tie that to like, hey, if you already like meat and potatoes, try our anticuchos, which is beef heart skewers with Peruvian pepper, and it comes with Peruvian potatoes. So yeah, it's been really fun. And there are some adventurous things on our menu that people are kind of like, I don't know about that. And just giving them that extra push to, hey, when in Rome, right? When in Peru, just try it. And I have a lot of customers that are pleasantly surprised after trying something that they normally would not order. So yeah, you're right. It's a lot of pressure, but it's also a lot of fun.
Awesome.
Yeah, so what about just really quickly, the Terry, you mentioned the other organizations that have contributed to the Washington Park's success and change. Can you just name a few of those organizations if people are looking maybe to get involved in some of those beyond the Urban Ecology Center, and maybe give people some insight, the people that run those?
Yeah, you have Martin Drive. You have Washington Heights. You have United Children's Methodist Services. You have the Milwaukee Public Library. I think, and then you have Washington Park Neighbors. And with Washington Park Neighbors, they do the music at the band show. They're not doing it this summer, but they're pretty active in the park in terms of music at the show, and then also like safety issues, things like that come up. So those are a few of the organizations that are really active, and then also too active in the neighborhoods. So they're not just active in the Martin Drive area, which is on Valete Street, but they're active in the park, and they're active on the other side of the park as well. So I think you have a lot of concerned citizens that come together, that use that park, a lot of daily walkers and things like that as well.
I was gonna now, like, one of the transitions, one of the things about this program, and one of the things when you actually go through the Washington Park neighborhood, and some of the things you just talked about, Terry, is the housing stock is actually kind of amazing and pretty gorgeous. And I did want to bring in Ginger, who is one of the sponsors of the program from Shorewest, just to give us some background on the housing stock and some of the walk scores, and just a little bit more of the data side of the neighborhood and some of the opportunities there.
Hi guys, how are you? Thanks for having me. I feel lucky to have experienced all three of these businesses and organizations. So Amy, I've had your empanadas, they're delicious. Pete, I've had your pops. I got to get some more. And Terry, my family went snowshoeing. That we grew up doing that. And so we've been able to experience the park that way, which was great. The Washington Heights neighborhood, specifically just to the left of the park, is near and dear to my heart. My first two sales actually in real estate were in that neighborhood. So currently the market is really active, and there isn't a lot of inventory in the neighborhood directly surrounding the park. But I have two buyers myself who are relocating, one from Chicago and one from Houston. We've toured different areas of Milwaukee, and they are specifically targeting this neighborhood because of everything it has to offer in terms of the park, accessibility to downtown. It has an incredible walking score and great restaurants, great places to eat. green space to recreate in, and really strong neighborhood associations, which I think is some of what you are all covering today. And that gives a great sense of community. So when we look at 2019, what had closed already in the neighborhood, Washington Heights, right to the west of the park, there were 81 properties that sold. It's a mix of, as Jeremy already said, in terms of the housing, it was built mainly between the early 1900s and the 1930s. So we see a lot of colonial homes, Victorian homes, A-frame farm style houses. And then a little bit later in the 30s and 40s, the bungalows were built. There's a lot of single family homes, but also a lot of duplexes, which give a nice opportunity depending on what someone wants to do. You can invest in a single family home or do duplex as an owner occupant, offset your mortgage. That's another route someone can go in the neighborhood and be successful. So just looking at what happened in 2019, for example, the lowest price sale was $40,000 on a single family house, $925 a square foot. And it was a bungalow craftsman style house that needed some remodeling. But the neat thing about those types of houses are they can typically be valued at $150,000 once rehabbed. So there's really some nice movement there for people that want to buy a house, maybe do some improvements. There's nice appreciation there. And then on the higher end, there was a sale for $429,000 on Washington Boulevard. That was a bigger colonial, 3,300 square feet, a larger house. Right now, when I looked at what's active in single family in that market, there's not a lot because we have low inventory across Milwaukee, and I'm seeing that in this neighborhood too. And when I'm out there with my buyers, there's only 10 active single family homes, and 5 of them are under contract. But then when we look at the duplexes, there's 5 available to tour, and the prices range from $52,000, something that needs some work and is going to need some rehabbing, but the investment could be great, all the way up to $235,000. So sort of a mix in that neighborhood, and some nice opportunities for people that want to, have an investment, maybe remodel a kitchen, live in it as a duplex, live in it as a single family. A lot of times people stay in the neighborhood because they love it so much, and sort of like the people relocating, I think just the walkability and the ability to have great access to parks downtown, and some even to get to the west side is very easy to the western suburbs.
Awesome.
Pete, okay, I wanted to transition back to the neighborhood, and if I've never been to Washington Park, what do I need to see? What do I need to do? Where do I need to go for our viewers that haven't been or are interested but may not sure where to start?
For sure. I mean, this is going to sound like I'm just pandering to everyone, but honestly, the move is to come to Washington Park, and you get the leche de tigre from Triciclo, Peru, which is this spicy ceviche that Amy can tell you I spend all of my tip money on. So
He does.
leche de tigre ceviche from Triciclo and Cusqueña, which is a Peruvian beer. You sit there on her ledge and you enjoy that. And then you walk on over to Pete's Pops, you get whatever flavor of 25.
You get a blue moon.
Yeah, you can get
Blue
whatever.
moon pops are the best.
And you get a pop. You can even get the Fleet Street Special, which we offer for only $2, a rotating flavor. And then you take that and you go right up the street to Washington Park, and you walk around all the beautiful trails in nature down by the Urban Ecology Center. And it takes you about 10 minutes to eat that pop and walk those trails, and you can keep going. And that's your nice little Saturday afternoon in the West Side.
Friends.
Not biased at all there, Pete. I appreciate
It's a little, it sounds honestly, that's what I would do. I do that a lot myself. It sounds like I'm just pandering to everyone here, but that would be an excellent afternoon.
That sounds great. Yeah, honestly.
Anything else that is not somebody's business on?
Sure. I'll tell you, Terry mentioned Sanders Super Bowl. And so it's the bowling alley that's right next to Pete's Pops and Triciclo on Fleet Street is like walking back into time. It's this bowling alley that was started by this legendary Milwaukee bowler, Freddie Sanders, who his story is all on the wall in there. And Freddie Sanders actually came to Milwaukee to play for the Milwaukee Braves and he blew out his arm like in the first practice or whatever. And he was such a good athlete that he started bowling. He ended up becoming one of the best bowlers, I think, in the country, definitely in Milwaukee. And he opened a bunch of bowling alleys across Milwaukee back, maybe Terry can help me out, I don't know, a long time ago. And the one on Bleed Street, it's like walking back into time, and not much has changed. And now there's a new owner. His nickname is the Fonz. I don't know his full actual name. I call him Fonz. So when that opens back up after COVID, you got to go bowl a couple frames at Sanders Super Bowl. They have frozen pizzas. There's a regular there that once convinced me to put yellow mustard on my frozen pizza, which I did, and it was surprisingly delicious. So yeah, that's my that's my plan B is you go to Sanders Super Bowl, you get a frozen pizza, and you put yellow mustard on it.
What about you, Terry? Any other recommendations for people that are not from the area that maybe haven't indulged in any of these things?
I'm thinking, like, I love what Pete said about where, I guess I would just maybe turn it around and maybe visit the Urban Ecology Center first and work up a lather and then head to Vliet Street for the party. That's the only things that I would change, because I love both. I love both, and I love Vliet Street. So, but I think a lot of it like depends on the person, because there's so much that you can do and experience, and it's about like where your desire lies in terms of what do you want to do first, because there's always something that you can do and experience. I think for me, like the people, the diversity of people that you're going to see in the park. And I'm a people person, I'm a people watcher. And so I love to like interact with people and kind of find out what they're doing, what they're thinking, what they think about the park, what they think about some of the changes that are taking place. So, and that's really fun to kind of see, and just kind of, just experiencing like kids running through the park and enjoying nature and just the hustle and bustle of what's going on around Washington Park. I love the feel. So.
And Washington Park wasn't it designed by the same person that did Central Park? Is that correct?
Yes. Yep. The same person did Central Park, the same person that did Riverside Park.
And then Lake Park, I believe, right?
Yes, sir. And Lake Park. Yeah.
Dad, some history, some historic knowledge for everybody too.
Exactly.
Awesome. Okay. Well, I think that's all the time we have today. I don't see any questions here in the chat, but I guess, the last thing, if anybody wants to comment, maybe one thing that surprised you about the neighborhood in the last year. Anybody want to take that question on?
For me, I think it's been the amount of people that want to learn, because we're an environmental organization. And we're trying to find that balance of being an environmental organization / community center, and like making sure that we meet the needs of the residents. And I think it's really cool to see kids come over and want to fish or want to learn how to fish, or people come over and want to learn like, what is pond ecology? Or we have an orchard on 40th and Lisbon and we can just go and pick apples or sour cherries. Yeah, you can. This orchard's for the community. Mm-hmm. So I really enjoy that. I really enjoy that.
Awesome. Anyone else? Are we good?
I mean, I wouldn't say I'm surprised, but I continue to be very happy at the amount of people from the community and the neighborhood that patron our business. It's always really nice to see someone that lives across the street come over and get a popsicle on a Saturday afternoon.
Excellent. Well, thank you everyone for your time. Thank you, Ginger, for your expertise as always in the housing market. I didn't know that this was your first sale. That's got to bring in like a personal enjoyment to get back to the roots there. I'm sure you've made more than one sale over your time. A lot more sales.
Remember the first one, right?
Yeah, it's true. That's true. And thank you, Alexa, for the co-host. This will be recorded if you missed something, and we'll send it out via email. So I appreciate your time, everyone. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.